welcome to the Kiwimana Day. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 26. Kiwimana is a beekeeping website and we blog, do podcasts, and we have an online shop for beekeeping supplies. So welcome, settle down and have a listen where we can chat about our past month. And yeah, welcome Gary.
Thanks Margaret, and great to be back again. We've had a bit of a break and it's good to get behind the mic and get back out there. And we'll be starting to do some blog posts soon as well, won't we?
Yeah, awesome. We've got some in place for you, and the bee season's starting in a month, so there's a bit of preparation going on in the background as well.
Yeah, and we love to share information with our readers and listeners, and some tips and tricks about beekeeping and gardening. And we also enjoy interviewing beekeepers from around the world, and we interviewed Robin last night, didn't we, from Quebec in Canada.
Yeah, it sounds like a really interesting chat that you had together.
Yeah, it was good. So that'll be released in a couple of weeks. This week we're talking about alternative bee nests, and we're also talking about honey bee eyes.
Oh, very interesting.
It's quite fascinating, isn't it? I didn't realise bees' eyes actually had hairs on them, did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't realise that myself.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I thought they're pretty hairy when you have a look at some real close-ups, but you don't actually see it on the eyes until you magnify a lot more. Well,
we'll talk about that later, eh? We don't want to
spoil it.
Don't want to spoil it.
Indeed.
So, what's been happening at Kiwimana? We've had some family emergencies, haven't we? And within the family, not me and Margaret, but elderly members of our family. So that's been quite distressing. So I've been to the hospital a few times, and we've been building more stock, haven't we? Did some planing in the weekend. And we're preparing to build some bees. And you did some inspections yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I inspected a couple of hives, not too intensely because it's still not 100% warm out there. But it was a very sunny day, just an opportunity in amongst it. And yeah, it was good to get out there and see the girls.
Yeah, and they're going pretty well, aren't they?
Yeah, we've got a hive that we're worried about, so we've tried to see. I guess it's a bit of a risk at this time of the year if we can get them to raise a queen, because I couldn't find a queen and I found no eggs. So I took some eggs from another hive and I put them into there, and hopefully they will raise a queen. And you're looking about 21 days, so maybe by then we will have some warmer weather and, yeah, she'll survive, or they'll make her survive. So we'll just have to see. It's a bit of a, part of our testing that we do at Kiwimana.
Yeah, I mean, you did see some drone cells, didn't you? So there may be a few drones hanging around.
Yeah, in the hive that I took the eggs from, now just remembering that these eggs are younger than 3 days, they hadn't yet curled, so they're ideal for raising a queen. And yeah, in that same hive I saw raised brood. So usually when the capping is raised on the brood, it means that there are some drones there. So the bees are starting to produce more. And there was lots of larvae in there as well, and cat brood. So, yeah, they're already starting to build up.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so also, we've been arranging interviews for upcoming shows, haven't we? We've been talking to some people that are authors of books. And we've been talking to some other beekeeping bloggers and other beekeepers, and possibly even a politician. So that's great news, isn't it?
Yeah, well done, Gary. You've been doing some good researching and networking out there, which is really good for us, because with all that reaching out and networking, we actually get a lot of feedback about what we're doing, and we're getting positive, vibes back from people that, yeah, we're on the right track and people are enjoying the sort of stuff that we're putting out there. So, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. Yeah, and if you did want to be interviewed on the show, then get in touch.
Yeah, that'll be awesome at info@kiwimana.co.nz. And don't be shy, guys. We're interested in gardening and beekeeping and any environmental issues you might want to bring.
Absolutely. And the show notes for this show are kiwimana.co.nz/
26.
That's it, 26. And this show is called Countdown to Spring.
Yeah, not long now, guys. So we're spending the next month preparing. And do you want me to go over what I've been doing?
Absolutely. We'll just, the countdown has started, 31 days. But what have you been doing, Margaret?
Well, even though we have been taking a bit of a break, we've still been getting inquiries. And I had an interesting inquiry about a guy who wanted to have wax moths. Now, that's an unusual request for a beekeeper because mostly we don't want wax moths.
I could give him a few wax moths.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about it is that he's actually breeding native geckos, and he wants the wax moth so that he can create food for his geckos. They love the wax moths, apparently. So if any of you have wax moth out there, you can put it aside and let us know. And, yeah, we can come and collect it as long as it's local. We'd be happy to help out with that. Otherwise, we can give you his contact details. So you can just email us with the details and, yeah, that'll be awesome. Other inquiries we've had is about land for bees. So we get a lot of people ringing us and asking us if people can put bees on their land. So we are looking into creating some sort of database or spreadsheet where this can happen. So that will be an exciting thing. So we can get people connected for people who want to put bees on land and people who have land for bees. So if you know anyone who's interested in that, yeah, drop us a line as well.
Get in touch.
Yeah.
That's good because a lot of people don't. They have land, but they don't want to have bees, do they? Yeah, they just don't want to have the trouble of keeping bees. So.
Yeah, they want bees, but they don't want to bother with maintaining or managing them. So. And then there's a lot of beekeepers out there who need extra space that they want to put bees in. Yeah, because having different areas is really good to spread your genetics around.
Absolutely. And another thing, you've got a swarm blog post coming. What's that about?
Yeah, I put together a swarm blog because there's some basics there that people need to understand or maybe work to as the season starts up again because if you don't give your bees enough room, they'll wanna swarm. They'll think this is just not big enough, and they'll leave. So you really want to avoid that. So there's some handy hints in there on how to avoid overcrowding your hives, and there are a few methods in there that you can use to help you prevent that from happening. So I think the key message in that one is about monitoring, so that your bees are healthy because they will leave if they don't feel safe in their environment, but also that they stick around and give you honey. So, yeah. The best tip is to keep giving them more room.
Yeah, and that comes down to the next thing that you've got is it's time to think about what beekeeping supplies you need for the new season, isn't it?
Yeah, you need to make sure that you have enough boxes to take the honey in the honey fall. And also if you want to look at splitting your hives, you need to make sure you've got enough brood boxes. So, yeah, have a look on our website. We do have those products available, and get in touch if you want to get some extra boxes. So yeah, this time of the year, it is good to prepare all your apiary, clean everything up, get your bees in place, and yeah, start introducing other things like drone management frames and that type of thing as well, because this is the time of the year where the bees will start producing drones, and that's where the varroa love to grow. So if you get a handle on that early on in the season, you have a better chance of keeping your bees healthy.
Absolutely. Should we move on to the news then?
Yes, tell us about those topics.
Okay, well, the first bit of news is a new movie that's come out by a guy called Marcus Imhoff, and investigates the crisis in the bee world, and there's a new documentary movie called More Than Honey. So that sounds a very interesting movie, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds good.
I don't think it's been released in New Zealand yet, so we must have to look out for it. Or possibly purchase the DVD from Amazon or somewhere. But,
is it actually released now?
Yeah, it's been out for since about March in Europe.
Oh, okay. I haven't actually seen it yet.
No, me neither. So that's an interesting story. So,
why is it interesting if you haven't seen it?
Well, it's an interesting idea for a movie. It's about the bees' plight, and this actually article here is actually an interview with the actual director, and so yeah, people can have a read of that and just see what what's in his movie. It gives you a bit of a taster for what's in it.
Oh, I see. Okay,
yeah,
sounds good.
That's what the article's about. But yeah, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I hope to see it. Okay, the next story we've got is called Alternative Bee Nests, and this is a website. Is it Gaia Bees?
Gaia.
Yeah.
Gaia Bee.
And they're offering alternative bee-friendly hives, and they look like a lot of bench hives, and a couple there look like old skeps, don't they?
Yeah, there's some really interesting ones on this, and he's using, looks like sustainable products as well, and how he builds them. And yeah, I think that they look really awesome. The skep one looks really magnificent.
Is that the one with the roof on the top?
Well, it looks like there's some that you can hang, and then there look like some other ones which come with a stand that you can hang it in as well. So, really interesting. You should have a look. This is a guy is it in USA?
Yeah, I think he's in California.
Yeah, looks like California, and I think it's awesome what he's doing.
Yeah, so for our listeners in America, that'd probably be a good site to have a look at, eh?
It looks like he's sold out stock for 2013 and taking orders for 2014. So get in touch with Gaia Bees. That's GAIA Bees, one word, at gmail.com.
Yep, and we'll have that link to his website in the show notes.
Awesome.
It's different way to keep bees next season, isn't it?
I think so, and it looks like a very healthy way, but I don't know how you'd use them, so you'd probably have to get some advice on some of those, because the old skeps used to be destroyed, didn't they? Well,
and the legality of it too, because I know that skep wouldn't be legal in New Zealand,
that's what needs to be found out, whether they are inspectable or whether they are skeps that need to be destroyed when you pull all the honey out. So depends how he's designed them. So get in touch.
Exactly. And the next story that's probably more relevant for our Australian listeners, it's an article by the Queensland government about how to identify Asian honeybees. And this was an interesting article, wasn't it? And they're actually a lot smaller than European honeybees, which is quite surprising. I always thought they were bigger.
I just thought they were all vicious.
Yes, well, they can be. I think the issue in Australia is that there was a swarm of them in a yacht's mast, wasn't they? In up north somewhere, and they were worried these Asian honeybees would spread across Australia.
Oh, okay.
And they are quite competitive, and they do compete with the European honeybees. So I think that's the reasoning behind the identification thing.
So when they talk about European honeybees, are they talking about the Italian one as well?
Yeah, Italian, Carinolian.
Okay.
And the good thing about this is that it'll help members of the public to actually identify them, and rather than just assuming they're Asian honeybees and destroying them, they can actually check that they are actually real honeybees. And if the European ones, don't destroy them, you can put them in a hive.
Indeed. Yeah, it's got some good photos on there about the Asian honeybee, and it's also talking about the different characteristics, so it's quite interesting to have a look. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, thank you. And the next one's a bit closer to home for us, isn't it, Margaret? About our local station, Waitakere, is possibly losing passenger trains when the Auckland Rail network goes electric. I know this isn't about bees, but it affects us. doesn't it?
Well, I'm actually quite pleased. I don't really worry about that because, to be honest, the service has been pretty shocking over the last 5-6 years. And if they want to create this super city that they're talking about here in Auckland, they need to lift their game. But I'm happy because if they don't do it, it means that we will keep hold of our rural identity. And even in Swanson, which is the railway station before us, we really would like to keep our rural values, really, and not lose all of that through overdevelopment. So I don't mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I don't. Well, I think. Do I mind? Yeah, I do mind because I think it's a lot of people that live out here, and they have to get a train to Swanson now.
Yeah, well, they're providing a bus service, so that will help. So that's a good thing. And
well,
then,
as long as it's reliable.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? You know.
As long as it's more reliable than the trains.
Indeed, and they're electrifying up to Swanson, but not to Waitakere, so it just doesn't make sense.
Well, I think the reason is because there's a tunnel between Swanson and Waitakere.
Oh, it doesn't really, to me personally...
They can't be bothered spending the money on it.
Yeah, to me personally, it shouldn't be about that. If they're really serious about creating a super city and they want people to use public transport, then those are the sort of things that they have to just wear. You know, we're paying all these taxes for all these things, and yeah, but if there's a little difficulty, they just won't do it, won't bother. So they're probably doing studies about how many people use it and are finding that there's just not enough people.
Well, I think the thing is a lot of people are annoyed because they keep cancelling the services.
I agree.
So they stop using it. So now then they do a survey and go, oh, no one uses it.
Yeah, I think that's true. There's a lot of factors in there that are not really showing the true benefit of having the station operating correctly and on time and making it available to the locals. So if they are doing studies, I agree. They haven't got enough people there to... they haven't got a good enough service for it to be properly measured.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, let's talk about bees.
No, the next article is about whales.
Oh, whales. Oh, I love whales.
Well, this is an amazing story about tolerance from the world of nature, where a deformed dolphin has been welcomed into a pod of whales. This is an interesting story, wasn't it?
There's some good photos showing it with the whales, and they seem to have accepted it quite, without any problems. When I went to that same page to have a look at it, there was also that article about those guys who were diving, and the whales came up and were feeding about like a metre away from them, and they got some good photos on that too. It's all on that same site.
Is that the one where the whale came up and whacked that guy?
Yeah, there were two guys in the water filming.
Oh no, that's a different one. There was one in Australia with a guy surfing, and a whale came up and hit its tail, and it made him fly about 8 feet in the air.
That one might have been in there too. I'm not sure, but I definitely saw the one about the whales feeding and coming up to those guys with their mouths open, and they were lucky they weren't tucker. Yeah,
exactly. Oh, that was pretty amazing filming, wasn't it?
Just shows you how amazing nature is,
Absolutely. And speaking of that, there's a great article from Brookfield Farm Bees, isn't there, about honeybee eyes.
Yeah, this is the one where they really show you what the eyes have.
Exactly. And the fact they have compound eyes above their forehead too, so they've got like 3 eyes above their in the middle of their head. So they can watch everything.
Yeah, that wasn't it when they were saying there's 5,000 lenses or something in that same article, something along that line.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and I think the most fascinating thing was the fact they have hairs on their eyes. I guess they use them to detect things, don't they? I know they've got 6,900 lenses on their eye. That's a lot of lenses, isn't it?
Yeah, very small.
And that's why they can see fast movement, can't they? So when you move slowly, they can't see it.
Yeah, I've noticed that with the bees, that they're, often when you go past them, they're just sitting there, they're fine, and then suddenly you move or create a shadow, you can see them move, like adjust themselves, like suddenly aware of you.
Yeah.
Quite fascinating.
And the other thing is they don't see in the same range as us either. They see in the ultraviolet range, so that's why they can see the good flowers.
Yeah, it's like being psychedelic, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. But that's a great article, so I encourage you to have a read of that and go over to Brookfield Farm and the Honey Blog. They're in Mount Baker in Washington. So they've got a good blog, haven't they? We'll have to see if they
there's
want
some interesting articles on there, so go and have a look, guys.
Oh, there's that photo. Look, the extreme close-up. It's got like hairs coming out of the eyes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I wonder if they shave their eyes. I wouldn't think so, eh?
Well, it's a consideration.
Like
I don't quite know what they get up to every day in the hive. It could be something that they need to consider.
Oh, I don't think they do. I think they're fine. No, this is a fantastic blog. There's even a comment here from Emily, who we spoke to a couple of months ago.
Oh, leading on from there, yeah. Had a chat with.
Check it out, yeah.
You had a chat with Emma and Emily from London.
Oh, it is the next story. That wasn't planned. But yeah, no, we had a chat with Emma and Emily from London, and they were talking about their beekeeping adventures in West London. And it was quite funny because they actually lived quite close to where I used to live, didn't they? When we were on our big OE.
Yeah.
Because I used to live in a place called Greenford, which is in West London on the Central Line. And it's not, they keep their bees not far from there. So, yeah, so check out that blog post, and also check out their blogs, because they've got some great blogs, haven't they, Margaret?
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. And the next story is
the good thing about Emily and Emma is that they are doing urban beekeeping, aren't they?
They are in the heart of London.
Yeah, and so that is just, awesome, because that is really successful worldwide.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's it doesn't matter where you are. If you've got a bit of space, you can keep bees.
Yep, and a bit of time. Need a bit of time. But not as much as, not that much.
Babble, babble, babble.
No, it's all pearls of wisdom.
Oh, pearls of wisdom.
That's
you'll have to rewind that and delete that.
No, that's fine. And we spoke to James Moore about his bees and his application called Swarmy. And he's from Portland, Oregon, and Portland, Oregon is south of Seattle. It's somewhere we've always wanted to go, isn't it, Margaret?
Yeah, I've always, there's a lot of cool bands in Seattle, from what I understand.
Yep.
Collective Soul?
I think they're from Georgia.
Oh.
But Jimi Hendrix is buried there, isn't he? So we'll go and pay our respects if we ever get that far. We must go there.
This Swarmy application, just give our listeners a bit of an idea of what it's about.
Well, basically, he was studying this as a BBC sound engineer who actually studied the sound of the bees, and he says you can actually predict what the actual bees are doing. You can actually have by measuring the sounds, you can actually tell if they've actually got a queen, if they're preparing to swarm. It's all these different ideas and different behaviours of the bees. So it's a fascinating study, and this application basically just gives you that data. So you need to get put a microphone inside the hive, and he shows you how to do that, and it is quite fascinating. And he's actually looking for people around the world to test it.
And didn't he give you 10 applications to give away?
He did. He gave us 10 free copies of it, which have all gone. All went pretty quickly there, to be honest. So yeah, those guys that got one, be sure to get back to James and tell him how you're getting on with it.
Yeah, that would be the way to go. He probably wants as much info as possible so that he can check out how effective it is. So yeah, go for it. Yeah,
absolutely. And he's a fascinating guy, and it was interesting talk. And so now we're going to move on to beekeeping tip of the week.
Oh, Gary, what's your beekeeping tip of the week?
My tip of the week is have your hives got enough stores? because we're 31 days to spring, and they've come through winter. Do they feel light? Have you lifted them up on the back? Does it feel light, or they still feel heavy?
Okay, so what if people are checking and their hives are light? Is that an indication of low bee population or low honey?
Probably both. So you want to check the honey. So a good thing to do is when you shut them down for winter and you tuck them in their little blankets, actually lift the hive up at the back and just see how heavy it is, and then just check that, through the winter and see how they're going. And so that hive you checked the other day, did they have plenty of food?
The single level hive had food.
Yeah. What about the double level one?
The double level one had full stores upstairs. It was blimmin' heavy, I'll tell you that now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So they don't seem to be wanting for much. They're collecting a lot of pollen at the moment, which has been really interesting to see.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
There on that frame that I took out, there was pollen, there was nectar, and there was also other lots of that within the hive as well. So, yeah, doing really well, and they're doing it in between a lot of wet weather. So I'm very proud of our girls.
They are going good. And we've actually got a recipe there from Honeybee Lives. They've got a bee tea recipe that we use, don't we, quite successfully.
Yeah, that's an awesome one. There's two things that will happen if you give your bees a feed, which is from from a sugar syrup, which is the one of them is that they have enough energy to start the bee season. So if they're starving, they're not going to have much energy. So you need to make sure that your bees are fed if they need it. If you've got honey stores on the actual hive itself, because you're going to be getting new bees as well, you might need to go into the hive and use your hive tool, one of your hive tools, or the one with the sharp nails on it, so that you can prick the capping, because the new bees can't eat that. So you can do that if you think they need some extra food, because in this cold weather often the cappings are quite hard. So that's one thing you can do. If you feed them sugar syrups, the recipe that we use, we also add vitamin C and we add thyme. So two key things which the bees seem to really love, and that will help them in producing wax. And what else will it do?
Well, the theory about the thyme, which is actually part of that recipe, is that the actual varroa mites don't like the taste of it. So the fact when they're sucking on the bee's blood, they don't like the taste of the thyme. So I'm not sure if that makes a huge difference, but anything that annoys the varroa mites is fine by me.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. And check that out. There's a recipe there in the beekeeping tip of the week. And so just make sure you've got lots of honey.
Yep.
Because in spring you want to start splitting them and start the season.
Yep. I mean, you'll be looking at an integrated pest management program for your bees, which you should be doing across the year. And part of that is, breaking up the varroa cycle, and you've got to catch it early, especially when the bees start to build up again and before there's too much brood. And things that you'll be preparing for will be treatments, and all of that will come through. So we'll be blogging about that as we go along, and monitor your bees.
And so what's your beekeeping tip of the week, Margaret?
My beekeeping tip of the week is to do with a call that I got from a new beekeeper, who said that his hive was full of mold and his hive had died. So my tip of the week is to do with that. Now, the problem with mold is that it houses a lot of, viruses, and generally in the old days, the beekeepers didn't worry about it, but because of the situation with varroa and how prevalent the varroa are, the cappings that get moulding may well harbour disease and viruses and everything like that. So the best thing to do is to keep your bees warm and dry. And if you've got mould in your hive, you're not doing that. They need to be able to ventilate their hives properly.
Absolutely. And there was actually an article just last week about fungi. They think it may be a cause of CCD, another cause.
Well, that's interesting. And you know, I think fungus does house a lot of bacterias and all sorts of things, because that's what it feeds off, those kind of things, you know. And
yeah,
the risk with having a mouldy hive is that your bees will be cold, because if they're wet, and they'll be cold. So, you know, the way that we deal with it at Kiwimana HQ is that we have Kiwimana mesh boards, and we have quilt levels under the roofs, and we also have hive roofs that are have open air at the top, so they allow for ventilation. The mesh boards allow for air coming up through the bottom. So
yeah, and water to drip out.
Yeah, that's right, and nothing is contained within the hive. So you know, the key is to keep your bees warm and dry. And if you get a lot of rain like we do, we keep our hives off the ground 30 centimetres, and that seems to create a better environment for them. So
yeah, absolutely.
But this year we have got a couple of hives that we used a solid bottom board on, just because we just ran out of time. So we'll be interested to see how they're coping. I did notice with the second one I inspected that the roof hive mat was really wet.
Yeah, and a couple of them on our other apiaries, they actually had slaters living inside it.
Yeah, so we have to get on top of that. And the reality is that keeping your hives warm and dry is crucial.
Yep. Do you remember that cartoon book, Fungus the Bogeyman?
No. Tell us more.
It was fantastic. I think it was by Ronald Dowell, wasn't it?
Roald Dahl. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a guy called Fungus the Bogeyman, and he used to live underground with his family, and he used to come out at night and steal mushrooms and stuff.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Check it out, guys. It's an awesome story.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
I think it turned into a movie at some point.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
what's next, Gary?
Well, feedback from you guys. So thanks a lot for giving us feedback. We appreciate it. And we got a review from Matt, and he actually runs the Beekeeper UK blog, which is a great article. And he's actually just published an article about apiary security, which we'll link to that in the on our blog post. And that's kiwimana.co.nz/26. And he talks about how to stop people stealing your hives, which is quite relevant, isn't it? Because we just heard recently that the Auckland Bee Club have lost a few hives, haven't they?
Yeah, that was quite shocking.
It was quite shocking.
But I mean, this seems to be something that's getting quite common, and very sadly so.
Well, yeah.
I think probably the best thing would be, get a dog.
Yeah, get a dog.
Put a fence around all the apiary and have a dog in there.
Yeah. That'd be good, as long as the dog doesn't get stung all the time. But
but anyway, it sounds like a pretty smooth operation, because no one knows when it happened or anything.
No, it's true. But his review is quite good. Did you manage to read that?
I didn't get a chance. No.
Okay, well they basically say that their episodes are very informative, although they sometimes get off subject now and again. Ooh.
Oh, what you're saying is that he reviewed us.
Yeah, he reviewed our podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we do go off in tangents, but I think it's good having a tangent every now and again.
We do. He also said that we have great guests, and it's very interesting to hear about beekeeping on their side of the planet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
We've learnt a lot from those discussions and those podcasts, and we also have started selling beekeeping supplies. So, we're getting feedback from our customers, about our great service, which we've just had from one of the ladies who's bought recently from us. So, we just really appreciate all the feedback.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like this next bit. It's a great podcast, well recorded and clear to listen to. Oh, that's good. And
good on you, Gary. Well done, you.
And it's good to hear an alternative to American podcasts. Oh.
Yeah, we do have our own identity here in New Zealand, us Kiwis.
Well, yeah, we do.
Number 8 wire and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, but, really pleased to get that feedback.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. That's fantastic. And
awesome.
I think Matt's actually going to he's going to be do an interview with him at some point too.
Oh, that'd be good.
So
yeah,
something to listen to.
One of the other things that we have been doing last year was a bee buddy system, and where we found that, we would go to sites and we would meet our bee buddies at their place and we'd help them with inspections and that kind of thing. And we actually are changing that this year, and we are going to encourage them to subscribe to our website so that they can just use the blogs that we put out, and we're going to modify our blogs to fit the time of the year. So that will be really helpful for all our bee buddies and, streamline that service a bit better for them.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of do that anyway, don't we? Our blogs are relevant to what we're doing here. So.
Yeah, we don't charge for any of our bee buddies, but this year we're trying to streamline it so that they can get quicker access to, the seasonal changes and that kind of thing. So
yeah, absolutely. And speaking of feedback, if you guys are on iTunes, or even if you're not, if you've got a computer, we've just got some 3 steps here to leave some feedback on iTunes for us. And there's some steps here, like create an account, visit our iTunes page, and just write a small review. And please tell us what you think. Be honest. We like honesty, don't we, Margaret?
Yep.
And if you review us on iTunes, it really helps other beekeepers find our podcast, guys. So I'd really, really would appreciate if you could do that. That would be awesome. And our contact details are
Margaret at kiwimana.co.nz and
Gary at kiwimana.co.nz.
Or our main email address is info@kiwimana.co.nz.
And I'm sure you can work out what our web address is. It's kiwimana.co.nz.
Come and see us.
Absolutely. And just what's coming up?
What's coming up this year is, who knows? This next month we're preparing for the start of the new season. We're going to be building stock. You're going to be doing some podcasts with some other
we've got Robin from Canada.
We've got a few coming up, haven't we? So, watch the space, guys.
And coming up, we've got articles about what to do with your bees when you go on holiday, and how to use a queen excluder, and some easy recipes with honey, and how to use a Tim's trap.
And for some of you who don't know, a Tim's trap is a
possum trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the New Zealand possums are actually pests, so we dispatch them quite often.
Yeah.
But if you want to keep informed of what's happening, please subscribe to our newsletter, guys. It's on our website, kiwimana.co.nz, and if you go /sign up, you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter where we give people some tips and tricks, and tell them what blog posts we've released that week. So. Yeah, it'd be really great if you could join that, eh? And we've had a lot of people joining while we've been on holiday. It's been great.
Yeah, so keep it all coming, guys, and love to hear from you. So over the next month, just enjoy and get your apiaries ready and check your bees.
Absolutely, and don't forget, ilovekiwimana.com. If you go on there, you can pre-populate a tweet. That would be awesome to do that as well. Anyway, that's enough from us. Have you got anything else to say, Margaret?
Nah, just see you next month and enjoy.
Okay, thanks, guys. See ya.